Hi, this is Savara from Scrappy Mania, and today I want to show you a new technique with using hot glue in order to create some embellishment. Now, you'll need some molds, and the idea came from watching some videos of Mod Podge, and they have these new mod melts. And you use your hot glue gun, you put these sticks of that material into your glue gun, and then you fill your mold up with that material and you let it cool, and when it pops out you get these shapes, as you can see here. Well, I decided I wanted to see if I can do the same thing with hot glue, and actually you can. However, I did test a couple molds. Of course, you can use the Mod Melt molds. These are perfect for that because they're meant to use for hot glue. These, you can use your Martha Stewart molds. They do hold up very well with hot glue, with the high temperature hot glue. You cannot use these. So these are silicone molds that I purchased for clay, and as you can see that I try to use this with the hot glue, and it melted the eyes a little bit, and it did fuse the face a little bit, and the same happened here. So you do not want to use these type of molds with your hot glue gun at high temperature. You may want to try using at low temperature, but I did do a couple with low temperature, and it doesn't come out right because since it's lower, it doesn't fill all the way, and doesn't get you the shape, and you see more of more imperfections. So it doesn't really work well with low temperature glue. This, you definitely don't want to use high temperature. You can try to use low temperature glue with these, but never high temperature, because it will melt. It will fuse into this plastic. Another mold that you can use is the Wilton silicone molds, and these, you can purchase these at any craft store, and usually they're in the cake aisle. These hold up very well to the high temperature glue. They do not melt. So those are the ones I recommend, and I have tested myself that they do work well. So let me show you how to use it. So I'm going to go ahead and create this bird right here. And then so you're going to use your hot glue gun at a high temperature, and then you're just going to melt, or you're going to spread some adhesive onto your mold. And then we go ahead and make another one. So I'm going to make another owl. I like this little owl. So I'm going to fill it up with my adhesive. And make sure I fill all the corners. Okay. Let me fill. I like this bird nest too. Now it works very well with less intricate molds. So if you have a mold that has a lot of designs, it might not come out as well. Especially if there's a lot of tiny little crevices. You may not fill those tiny little crevices as efficient as if you were using clay. But it does work very well for large pieces like this, like a butterfly. And these Mod Podge melts are designed for this technique, so you might want to get some of these if you don't have it. Now I saw this one, I purchased it it was at Michael's, and I used my 40% coupon, and it came out to $3.49, something like that. It wasn't too expensive. Okay, so once you put it there, like you squirt it on your mold, you're gonna let it dry and see how it settles, and there's no bubbles. So it works very, very well. So once you dry, it just pops out. I mean, like this one. Once it's dry, see how it just pops out. It doesn't stay in the mold. So that's what's real fantastic about these. Now let's talk about what you're going to use to color your pieces. Now, I use a marker to color this piece. I did not like it. Do not like using markers. It does not work very well. I guess you can probably try to use some distress markers and then use some water. But again, that's water soluble, so it's not going to stay permanent on your piece. So I don't recommend using markers for that. This piece, I used some of my metallic acrylic craft paint, Martha Stewart, and it worked very well. I think next time that I do, I'm going to go ahead and put black acrylic paint throughout, and then use my Martha Stewart metallic to rub some metallic paint on top. And that will work very well on that. Now this one, as you can see here, actually this one I used Lumiere. So I used some of this metallic gold, and I put a coat of metallic gold, and then I went with another one, which is the pewter. Let me see if I find the pewter. I went with the black, and I just put a little bit and then just spread it there, making like one of those antique rubs that you can purchase. I did the same thing. I just put a little dot, and then I used my finger to rub the piece. And actually, and for this one, I used my fingers to kind of blend it in. For this, I use alcohol ink. Now, the trick with the alcohol ink is you cannot use a block to place it on because it doesn't go in the grooves. What you need to do is take some of your felt and you're going to just put it around. And so let me show you how to do it. So let me get some alcohol ink here. So let me show you the alcohol ink technique with this one. Now notice that when you do it, it's not perfectly, you have these little extra glue pieces. You're just going to clean your piece, and it just pulls. So you just pull it off like this with your fingernail, or you can even use a craft knife, and you can just clean your piece like what I'm doing here. See, I'm getting rid of all those extra pieces, and that's because when you put it on the mold, you do have some extra pieces. Like that will be a piece that I will need to clean right there and here. So you do have some pieces that you're going to have to clean after you unmold them. That looks pretty good. Now you're going to need a wax surface or something that you can clean. You're going to take some felt. Now this is old batting that I have left over, and that's what I'm using to put some of my alcohol ink, and then you're going to rub it on. You can see here. See how I rub it on? And it's perfect for this. You're going to get your hands all messy, but that's okay with me. If you don't want to get your hands all inked, you may want to use some gloves. My felt is dry, so I need to put some more ink and go on all the edges and inside the rim. And it works very well. I like alcohol ink because it dries very quick. Okay, so there's a piece that you have with alcohol ink. That is what you're going to get. Now I do have these other ink that I bought some time ago, and it's this plush rainbow ink, and it's also, I'm not sure if it's alcohol based or not, but you can use this too. So let me get another piece and show you how to use this type of ink. So here's this one. So I'm going to show you how to create this nest egg. So you're going to take whatever you want to use, and alcohol ink if you have a brown color or whatever color you want to use. Put some on the felt, and then you're gonna dab it your piece, making sure you get all those crevices. You're gonna let it dry, and then we're gonna come back with it. I'm going to take some of my Lumiere, so once it dries, it takes a little longer to dry, that piece to dry. So let's do it again. Just need to have a little bit, not too much. So I'm going to use my toothpick to just put a little bit on the egg. And I think I'm going to leave it like that. Okay. So there's my little nest egg right there. And these are very popular. Now let me show you how to use acrylic. Put some on the side. Take some acrylic paint, and then you're just going to put it throughout the whole pieces. So we're going to set that aside to dry, and then we're going to come back with a little bit of black acrylic or silver paint around the edges to give it that distress or antique look like you can see here. Now let's go ahead. These have had time to dry, and see how it just pops off. And notice that when it pops off, you see the ears has that extra right there. So you can easily just take your fingertip and clean it off. And take your fingertips or your fingernails, clean it off, or you can actually use some toothpick, and see how I can take the toothpick and clean that off easily. And there you have it. So now it's nice and clean. You have your little owl, and then you can take your time, use your toothpick to color in the eyes, white. You can put a lot of different colors on this piece. So this piece, it's dry, so let's go ahead and get some black paint. And actually I don't have a black acrylic paint, but I'm going to use this Lumiere. And I'm just going to buff it. I'm going to put a little bit here. And I'm going to take my finger, and I'm just going to buff the edges of this stuff. There's another piece. So I hope you like this technique of making your own embellishment using a silicone mold and your hot glue gun. Thank you for watching. Bye now.